everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. We're just trying some new things today, and my hair is a mess. That's always a great start. Um, my stream keys, which is the way that all of this happens to get out to you, just crashed. So I've had just a very stressful few minutes. So I'm just going to make sure that the team's going to give me all the. That's always a great start. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully everyone can hear me and it's all working well. I'm super excited to be back and doing live streams again. It's a really exciting way to come and chat all things machine embroidery and all things Hatch, so you can learn how to digitize and make more with your machines. So that's always super exciting for me. I'm also really excited because it's one of my favorite times of the year. I absolutely love the transition between. Oh, thank you. People are letting me know they can hear and see me. Thank you. That's so helpful. So yeah, I absolutely love. We're going from summer into autumn at the moment. So I know that's different for lots of you. So normally I ask, where's everyone coming from? But let me know where you're coming from and what's your weather like, because I love it when we're super hot and sweaty here and someone's like, oh, you had 10 foot of snow yesterday. So be sure to let us know where you're coming in from as we start through the chat. So we've already got some people in from the USA. We've got Pat from Shelbyville, and I think it's Sarah. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. As you saw, I took them off. Oh, and we've got people from Denmark as well. Hi. I bet you guys are cold at the moment. So yeah, thanks so much for coming along and checking out the live stream with Hatch here. As some of you may notice, we are in a new space. It is a work in progress. We are working on that. Oh, someone's from Quilt Town. That is such a fun name of a place. That is really cool. And some people have got some rain. I actually love rain, so sorry if that's bad for you. I hope it's not too bad. And some people are saying how cold it is. Don't worry, you will get sunny and warm weather again. So we are in a new space. We are in the process of making it new and workable for us. So we have some display things here with all of our beautiful embroideries that we have been working on. We have one of our multi-needle machines here. You might notice I've just slipped the display backwards. It was giving me this really weird glare. And I have a window, which is actually lovely for light, even though it's not super bright today, but that's okay. So people are asking if this video is going to be available later on the website. It will actually be available on YouTube and on Facebook. It is available on our Facebook page, so on the actual Hatch page, and on YouTube. I've got to say, after the stream goes live, I find it much easier to find on YouTube because there is such a lovely little tab there that says lives and you can see this. So I always find it easier to find on YouTube, but it is available on Facebook as well. If you want to keep making sure that you don't miss any lives, be sure to either like and subscribe both of those pages. And also on YouTube, be sure to give us a little thumbs up to say thanks, and also hit that little bell icon. So that little bell icon, what will happen is normally between half an hour and 15 minutes before the stream actually goes live, you get a little message, a little alert to say it comes up, which I find really useful when I am following YouTubers who aren't in my time zone because I forget. And then sometimes I'll be cooking dinner and I'll be like, get a little alert to say someone's going live in Japan or the US. So it's a really great way to keep up to date with what's coming up and to make sure that you don't miss things there as well. If you can, I will try and answer as many questions as I can during this live stream. I'm also going to be pointing you towards some links later on for some extra things, so we will get you for that as well. We have some friends from Queensland. I know you guys are hot and sweaty. I spoke to some family members up there yesterday and they were like, it's really hot. So hopefully you've got some aircon and somewhere nice and cool to sit while you do the live stream. So today we are going to be talking all things machine embroidery for freestanding lace. So I'm just going to grab a little sample. So for those of you who don't know, freestanding lace looks something like this. So it actually mimics traditional lace making techniques, but we can do it with our machines. So there's a couple of little hints and tips that you can follow to get some really good actual stitch outs and to make sure that your lace works, because if you don't kind of follow the rules, you end up with a tangled mess of threads that doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just connect a second camera. So this might go terribly wrong, and if it does, I apologize. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop you to a transition page. So it'll go hatch blue in a moment, and then I'm just going to connect my second camera. Hi, Juliet. So for all of those who are joining in, thank you so much for coming along. It's always really great to see where everyone is from and what is happening. All right. I'm really hoping this works because it's going to be very fun if it does. And if it doesn't, you might get a shot of the ceiling, but hopefully not. All right, if this works, we shall have a lovely downward camera. Except we don't. Oh, that's a pain. All right, well, sometimes things don't work. We tried. We shall try again later. What I was attempting to show you is one of the things that we are going to be talking about today. So I quickly did this stitch out earlier today. So this is a lovely little bow and two different sizes of hearts. I've actually left it still in the hoop because I needed to talk about it, and it's far easier to hang on to a hoop than the individual little pieces. So we are going to take this stitch out and we are going to turn it into these lovely jewellery pieces. So I have some super sweet little earrings and an adorable little bow necklace. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out which way my camera is. It's super cute, and thanks so much to our head designer here at Wilcom. I was talking to her about some things, and I literally left for like 10 minutes and came back again, and she's like, how about this? I'm like, that's perfect. So we're going to be doing some stitch outs. I've got some other examples to show you as well, but we're going to jump right in with a few things straight away so that we can have a bit of a look at how everything is working. Now, when we're stitching out on freestanding lace, we are going to be stitching out on water-soluble fabric, and I'm going to go through that in a little bit. And you'll notice there I've just stopped the machine, and what I have done is I have trimmed all of my cuts. It's very important when we are doing freestanding lace to make sure that you do your trims so that you don't have extra long cuts. If you're doing this on a machine which has auto trims built in, that is fantastic. I was using a single needle here and those aren't built into that one, so I was having to do them manually. So just have a little bit of a look at your machine and know what you can do with those trims, because that's a very important part at making your lace look really neat at the end, which is a very important part of it. And what we're doing here is we are creating the mesh. So if I could number my hints, my first hint when setting up your file for freestanding lace is that it must have an interwoven web or mesh as your lower layer of your digitizing. So here we're actually using the lay down stitch, which is part of the Hatch tool set, and it is going back and forth. I'm going to show you another example later, which has a different one. But this web and mesh is a really great way to actually hold all of those things together and form the basis of our actual lace. So mostly when you look at any kind of lace, be it guipure or chantilly or any of the sort of more traditional made ones, there's often some kind of backing mesh type thing underneath it, and then the lace is applied. It's made differently, obviously, so we're going to mimic some of those tools. Once you've done your mesh, we are then going to start to add our accent pieces. And our accent pieces, what we're going to do is we're going to do a number of lines to, in this case, accentuate the curvature and make our bow look more dimensional. And we're going to keep doing that so that it adds more to it in terms of the way it looks, but it also adds more to it in terms of your stability. So sort of think about these extra, and they are a satin stitch, extra satin stitches like little structural pieces that start to help your embroidery hold together. So when you're looking at this from a digitizing point of view, we're looking at a base layer, which is a mesh. Again, you can use the lay down stitch. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. You don't have to use the lay down stitch, but it is a very nice, easy way to get yourself into it. You're not going to do any underlay because that is going to be your underlay, and we don't want any underlay stitches in there that's going to make it look messy or ugly. So our goal here is to have very pretty stitches that have nothing underneath them. When we come to doing our satin stitches, which we're using here for our stabilization, those ones can have underlay to them. The underlay will help the satin look more raised, which makes it look more lace-like. And then from there, we can also make it come through. All right, hopefully you're all still there. My chat has gone quiet, so I'm hoping you're all there and just watching the video. But if you've got extra questions, don't forget to jump in and ask the questions. If I can't answer them on screen, the team is also here. They're dropping in lots of useful links for you there so that you've got places to come back and look there as well. So as I said, we're going to be adding in these sort of extra stabilization pieces, and we're going to use those to help really create that lace look. So you can make it here, we're using straight lines, but you can add curls, you can add swirls, you can add names. The trick is that all of the things have to be connected in some way. So say you wanted to put polka dots. Your polka dots on their own are not going to work. It needs to have a polka dot which is then connected by a very obvious line, preferably a satin stitch, so that it actually will stitch out. Because if you just did dots on your own, if you haven't connected them correctly, or you haven't connected your base, your underneath mesh web layer correctly, all your dots are going to literally fall through your lace. So when you're planning out your digitizing, what you want to do is just think about how that's actually going to go through and what it's going to, how all of those elements are going to join together. It's very much a joining type method you're thinking about in your head. Now that we have done our internals, we are going to do a lovely satin stitch external here. This satin stitch is very important because it is actually creating the edge of what is going to be our freestanding lace. So if you're going to be creating a lace object, so maybe you're making a Christmas ornament or something that goes on a tablescape or something like that, all of those would work. But say maybe you're going to do this and you're going to add it into a tablecloth and you're going to have a cutout. So maybe you've done like one of those lovely doily ladies who have the big, lovely big skirts and the big bonnets, which is a very traditional looking kind of shape for those. What we want from that is we need that edging, because we want that edging to be able to sew onto the fabric and then cut away the back fabric to create that lace look. So this outside edging is super important in finishing your edges. Sorry, I'm getting the giggles because I just had flashbacks to me teaching people how to sew and saying you've got to finish your edges, otherwise everything's going to fray. And it's exactly the same here with our lace. We want a lovely, clean finish to that lace. And later on, I'm going to show you and have a bit of a chat bit more about the water-soluble backing that we are using here, and you'll see how great a very solid edge is for making that look lovely. So does anyone have any questions about anything so far? Is it all making sense? You all understanding how you basically build this up in layers that are all connected and working together? Hopefully it's making sense. Now here, I actually had one of the very early versions of this layout, and I had hooped it, I had placed it in hatch originally for my very small 10 by 10 hoop, which I was stitching out at home. And you can see where I've actually made a mistake. What I have done is I have gone from my bow and I have now jumped to one of the small elements that we are going to be using for the earrings. I didn't put in my jumps. I didn't put in cuts to actually make it go then across. And if I hadn't cut it at this point, I would have ended up with some very ugly connector lines across my lace. So please learn from my mistakes and don't do that. As soon as I saw it stitching out, it was all going badly. All right. So from there, I kept stitching out, and we then ended up with this lovely stitch out here, which has got all of the elements together. So this actual design is going to be a free design that you will be able to get soon on the Hatch blog. If you don't already follow the Hatch blog, one of the best ways to actually do this is to make sure you sign up to the Hatch newsletter. Because if you sign up to the Hatch newsletter, when new things go out like this, which are free or maybe sales or things like that that are coming up, you're going to be the first to know. So what you can do is you can jump on the Hatch website. It's on that front page. Scroll down. It's about 3/4 of the way down. Join the Hatch newsletter. It's a really great way, and you'll be in the know when this one comes out. So we're going to put in some extra details there so you'll be able to do it, but you can also reference this video for that as well. So once we actually have it all stitched out, we're going to then get rid of our actual backing. Before that, I'm going to show you another stitch out, which is a slightly different style, so that you can see how the elements can go together in a different way to create different types of freestanding lace, or different looks really, I guess it is. So here, this is one of our freestanding lace ones, which if anyone has got the recent Valentine's giveaways, they've been going out again via the newsletter, and we've also had some on social media as well. It is a slightly different way of doing freestanding lace. So again, it's got a mesh webbed backing. Tried to make that all one word, and that didn't work at all. So what we've done is we have done the backing, and then we are starting to add in the decorative elements. The decorative elements here, you can see how they are all joined together. And they're kind of like these very lovely curlicues, which is a very traditional style of lace symbolism that goes in there. And these are all joining together again via satin stitch. And in this stitch out, you can actually see the underlay, which is placed underneath the satin stitch. Sorry if that looks a little jumpy to the eye. It is a little bit sped up just so that we can see this. You'll also see that this is a slightly different hooping system on this machine. So this is on my own machine. It is, I have a smaller sized hoop, and this is my magnetic hoop. I actually found a smaller hoop when using for freestanding lace. So the closer you can kind of hoop into where the design is actually going to be, actually made me get better freestanding lace. Now that's purely anecdotal. It's not always the case, but what I found is the water-soluble backing is quite lightweight, particularly compared to what we normally would be doing in terms of hooping and backing and all of that kind of stuff. So I found that a smaller hoop controlled that lightness of fabric a little bit better, and it made so that I felt like I got more control and a better stitch out. So keep that in mind. Maybe don't use your biggest hoop unless you're doing a big design. Maybe size down and use one of your smaller hoops, just so you get the feel of it a little bit more in terms of the hooping in of the slightly lighter weight fabric for that. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you are hooping in anything that is water soluble, be sure to have very dry hands, which is a weird thing to mention, but it was super humid one of the days that I was actually hooping, and as I was hooping, I could actually see my finger marks turning into the actual water-soluble fabric. So do keep an eye out for that, and if you're finding that you cannot tension it incorrectly or it's starting to tear, maybe just take a towel and wipe your hands and make sure you don't have hot hands. Our hands are one of the hottest parts of us, so it makes sense that when we come to hooping, it gets a little tricky there. So do keep the sort of moisture levels of where you are working in mind when you are hooping up for those actual pieces. So what you might notice is most people, when they have used a water-soluble topping, backing, depending on which way you are using it, what you'll see is the clear one. We are clearly not using the clear one. So this is a woven one. It's very lightweight. What we had found when we were stitching out, because we had originally used the one that looks very clear and looks almost kind of plastic-like, that one was perforating. So the design as it was stitching out was actually breaking away from the hooping and looking all mangled and just wouldn't stitch out. So the woven version is more stable because of the way it is created. So if you need more stability, definitely check out a woven style of water-soluble backing. They definitely exist. They come in all different brands. But yeah, check it out, because for freestanding lace, we found this gave a much, much better result than the clear plastic Solvay one. So do keep the types of backings in mind with it. Now, with the water-soluble fabric, what you want to notice is when it comes to your freestanding one, I'm going to try and hold this up. This one, as you can see, is kind of solid. It's not super flexible. It's got feels like a little bit paper. And what it is when we dissolve the water soluble backing, we don't want to dissolve all of it. We want to take a little bit out, just enough to make everything go see-through, but not so much that we lose the stability. Hi Denise, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry you're a little bit late from New Zealand. For anyone who has joined us late, don't forget you will be able to go back and watch the stream from the beginning on our Facebook page or on YouTube as well. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for that to come live again after we have finished. That's not up to us. That's a processing thing on their behalf. So maybe if you can't find us straight away, give us like an hour or two and come back and check out. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you some experiments we did about how to get rid of your backing for your freestanding lace. So here we have 2 bowls of water. One is cold water and one is hot water. So as I am looking at the screen here, my left-hand side is cold. My one which has got more bubbles, that is my hot water. And we are now going to take some of our hearts and we are going to dunk them into the water. If you are doing this into boiling water, please be careful. Now, hopefully you can see this as we're going to bring them towards the screen in a moment. So the one in cold water, it took longer for it to dissolve, and you can see the outside edges aren't as crisp because it's still holding some of that stabilization, whereas the one in hot water, completely clear. So here they've gone a little wrinkly. All I did was place them flat on a towel and let them dry, and after they dried, press them with a nice cool iron. When you're pressing with an iron, be sure to use a pressing cloth. If you don't have a pressing cloth, a linen tea towel works fine, or a piece of calico. All we want is to disperse the heat of the iron a little bit, because for a lot of us, our embroidery threads are a polyester. Polyester doesn't like too much heat, and we've already been a little bit mean to it by dunking it in hot water. So just to ensure a really nice clean finish, we're just going to dunk it, let it dry flat, and then give it a little bit of a press. That ended up in really beautiful results. I'm now going to show you the same one. I only dunked one of the bow, to be fair, so I'll just show you the bow. So with the bow, it was a little bit, wasn't as hot, which made it a bit easier to dunk in. So I'm just going to blow that one again if I can. No, it's not going to let me pay it again. What you'll find, oh, sorry, I'm here. I've literally just lost my mouse. Hey, sorry. So what happens once you've actually put it in, it dissolves out all of your backing and off you go. When it came to dissolving the pieces, and I have them here, these are the pieces which make up our lovely earring set. They're quite little. One of the things I was trying to do was trying to dunk them so that they didn't sit in the water too long, because particularly for the earrings, you want a little bit of that stabilizers to stay to keep it nice and a little bit rigid. I actually ended up using a pair of the tweezers that I used to thread my overlocker with, and I just hung on to them and kind of dunked them in the water, but I did it and then forgot to take the video of it. But it was a really great way to dunk in little pieces, which is a quite nice way to do that. And what you'll see is here on the earring, we have used some earring findings, which we just bought at a regular store here. We didn't have to go to too fancy a supplier. Most of your big box fabric stores will have this. We added a little bow, which Mai tied, which is adorable, and then it's got a little hoop and then the 2 hearts down it as well. So those are super cute, and it was a really great way to show off the freestanding lace, as is the bow. So the bow actually becomes, I've put a little weight on it so I didn't drop it during the demo. It actually becomes a little necklace, and it was so adorable that I've been in the process of stitching more of them. So I now have a pink bow and an aqua bow and now another red bow. So I think that I'm going to be wearing quite a lot of these. I also love a big earring, so I was totally going to make my bows as earrings as well. So I could totally do that. All right, we're starting to run out of a little bit of time, so I'm going to head across. Now, what you might want to do is, this is like a little taste test for all of the things to do with freestanding lace. There is a ton of information in the Hatch Academy. So for any of you who maybe have Hatch, but you haven't explored the Academy, it is the best way to learn Hatch. And the great thing is if you're like, I want to know about freestanding lace, there's going to be information there for you. So I know the team has already dropped some in the chat. So there are some links in the chat. But what you'll find is there's a 3-part course there on freestanding lace. One of the demonstration pieces they actually get you to make, or they talk you through making, is these lovely bookmarks. Now, this is cream, and I did have a lovely overhead shot to make this work, but then my second camera didn't work. So I am going to do my best at holding it up. But look how lovely and clean this one is. And unlike the other two where we had like a mesh or a web, they've actually digitized out all of those little shapes to create their mesh or web. It looks much more lace-like, or more guipure lace-like, I should say. So it's a different type of lace. This also achieved as freestanding lace. So, the team has dropped in those links for the Hatch Academy, so you'll actually see those. Now, again, like everything else in the Academy, you can apply those tools to any number of designs, technique, things that you actually want to do. So just because it's demonstrated on a bookmark, if you don't want a bookmark, you just use those tools to then create whatever shape that you would like. But keep in mind a few of our little hints. So be sure to make sure everything is connected in some way. Use your satin stitch as a lovely outline to create those nice edges for you. When you're hooping up, be sure to use your water-soluble fabric as your backing. And the one I hadn't already mentioned is be sure to change your bobbin thread. So on your bobbin, here you can see ours is a lovely red. So all I did was fill my bobbin with the same as my upper thread. I know that sometimes you can get matching bobbin threads in different styles, but what you'll find is they're quite often matte. So if you are trying to make yours uniformly shine with the same as your embroidery threads, because for the most part, most of us use shiny embroidery threads, we want to make sure that our bottom is as shiny as the top on our freestanding lace. So we're going to make sure that all joins together by filling up our bobbin with that as well. You just fill your bobbin as per normal. Just keep an eye on it as it fills, because it is a slightly different weight to your regular embroidery bobbin thread. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure that your bobbin fills correctly, just as you would any other time. And then you're going to run with no problems at all. Okay, so we're almost out of time. Does anyone have any last minute questions? The team has also been reminding everyone in the chat that you can also access your Academy via an app. So you can actually go to the App Store or the Play Store and download the Hatch Academy app. And then you can log in with your Hatch credentials and you can actually do that. So normally, because someone normally asks this, if you have Hatch Digitizer level, you have access to the Academy. All of the Academy. Other levels have access, but sometimes it's a little bit different depending on your level. But if you've got Digitizer, you've got everything. Definitely check it out. And if you ever get stuck and you can't find exactly what you want, you can also go to the Hatch Facebook user group. The hatches in there are fantastic, always about to answer questions and help troubleshoot things. It's also a great way if you're super proud of what you have digitized. We love seeing what you have made, so please come and share it with us. It's so inspiring when people do something really exciting. It's also a great way that, say you want to see something specific on a live stream, you can actually drop us a note and say, hey, can you talk about this? And we'll set up a live stream for it. It might take me a couple of weeks because sometimes I might already have the next week's one already planned out. But if there's certain things that you want to see live and you want to have demonstrated, please ask away. But also don't forget to check the Academy in case you need a quick answer, because that's going to be much more in-depth, but it's all going to be there. Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming along to our first live stream of the year. It's very exciting. I'm sorry for the few technical difficulties. As always, we will sort them out. It's always a work in progress. We're always adding in new things and trying to show new things. So sometimes it goes wrong, and we just got to roll with it. But we will keep working and keep trying to make it better and better for you. Catch the live streams again on YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to like and subscribe those channels so that you always get updates on when we are doing more live streams. And I'll see you all again soon. Thanks so much.